Hello, I'm Christian Fraser. You're watching The Context on BBC News. The White House thinks Ukraine can win this war, and the military aid they're now sending is indicative of Ukraine's growing success. The US Defense Secretary in Poland, after visiting Kyiv, said the ambition is to ensure that Russia has neither the ability nor the means to invade one of its neighbours ever again.
We want to see Russia weakened to the degree that it can't do the kinds of things that it has done in invading Ukraine.
Twitter is sold to the world's richest man for $44 billion. But what does Elon Musk plan to do with it? And the man who was kicked off Twitter, Donald Trump, is held in contempt of court for refusing to produce company documents in a civil investigation in New York. Tonight with The Context, live from Paris, Georgina Wright from the think tank Institut Montaigne and the Republican strategist Rina Shah is in Washington. Hello, welcome to the programme. The White House view of the war in Ukraine has gone through a complete metamorphosis since Russia invaded. The language has become bolder, the military aid has expanded, and now there's a far more optimistic assessment of Ukraine's prospects after 2 months of fighting. In Poland, after a visit to Kyiv, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken told reporters that Russia is clearly failing in its war aims and that Ukraine is succeeding. Yeah. The volume button's about to be turned up. We will know all about it very shortly. Neda Tawfiq, thank you very much indeed for that from New York. Do stay with us on the programme. We're going to focus, of course, on the presidential election. We'll hear from Emmanuel Macron's party. Big win for him last night. Perhaps more to discuss about the number of people who voted for Marine Le Pen and the number of spoilt ballots. We'll discuss that. Also, we're going to talk about the two pilots. Remember that? We talked about it on Thursday, the two pilots who were going to dive into each other's plane. Stay with us, I'll tell you what happened. Hello, I'm Christian Fraser. You're watching The Context on BBC News. Victory for President Macron in France as he defeats Marine Le Pen, but with a smaller majority than 5 years ago. The elections to the French National Assembly are now not far away. We'll analyse how France's president will look to win over the section of the electorate that doesn't like him. The UK government unveils a new task force to write the rules that will help businesses cut their emissions to net zero by 2050. And did they do it? The pilots attempting the first ever plane swap. Find out later if it went to plan. Tonight with The Context, live from Paris, Georgina Wright from the think tank Institut Montaigne and the Republican strategist Rina Shah in Washington. In the end, Emmanuel Macron won it comfortably with 5.5 million more votes than his far-right opponent Marine Le Pen. It is the first time in 20 years a French president has been re-elected. But that's only half the story. 4 in 10 French voters have turned to the far right. 3 million spoiled their ballot rather than vote for the two candidates who were on offer. And already the focus is turning to part 3, the parliamentary election, which is just 6 weeks away, that will decide how much power Emmanuel Macron is able to wield in this second term.
Why are you trying so hard to be entertaining when you know it's dangerous and the humans are not meant to jump out of planes and jump into another plane midair? So in a way, I'm sort of like, torn.
That's why we invented this programme. We know it's dangerous, but it's worth a go. Georgina, Rina, thank you very much for coming on the programme. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.
I'm Laura Trevelyan in Washington, and this is BBC World News America. The US goal in Ukraine is to see Russia weaken, says America's Defense Secretary. As fighting intensifies in Ukraine's eastern Donbass region, we have a special report. After years of fighting pro-Russian rebels, Ukraine's forces are under attack from the Russian military itself.
What has been sporadic fighting over the last 8 years has now turned into a full-blown war, and they are being pounded by Russian artillery.
World leaders congratulate French President Emmanuel Macron after he was re-elected this weekend. He's vowing to unify his country after a divisive campaign. Panic buying in Beijing amid fears that the Chinese capital could soon face a COVID lockdown. We'll hear from our correspondent in China. The world's richest man, Elon Musk, has bought Twitter. He paid $44 billion for the social media platform. And months after fleeing the Taliban, players from the Afghan women's soccer team are on the field in their new country for the first time. We'll have more from Australia. Welcome to World News America on PBS and around the globe. We begin tonight in western Ukraine, where 5 train stations have been struck by Russian missiles. The railways have become a key target for Russian forces as they're crucial for bringing in supplies and for evacuating civilians. The number of injured or killed isn't yet known. It follows last month's attack on a station in eastern Ukraine, which left 50 people dead. Many were civilians trying to flee the fighting. Good luck to the team. And before we go tonight, there was a historic first today in the world of space travel. The crew of the first completely commercial mission to the International Space Station arrived back on Earth today, splashing down in the Atlantic Ocean just off the coast of Florida. The crew, which included philanthropists and businessmen, was the first all-private astronaut team to spend time at the International Space Station. That 2-week mission has been hailed as a new milestone in commercial space flight, so you could be seeing an awful lot more of that. And remember, you can find much more on all the day's news at our website. And to see what we're working on at any time, do check us out on Twitter. I'm Laura Trevelyan. Thank you for watching BBC World News America.
Hello, here are the latest weather prospects for Europe. High pressure holds firm up to the northwest of the continent.